Chapter 2. Party like it's 2020. Neon-painted bodies occupied every inch of the house's black-lit first floor.
Tonight will be the stuff of urban legends. An event to make the Roman god Bacchus proud, Marcus said to himself while squeezing out of the kitchen. It was the kind of party you saw in movies, but didn't think happened in real life, since most of the revelers were still legally kids. Drugs of every variety were available thanks to their proximity to campus. Despite the obvious fire hazard, Anthony barricaded the front door. To get outside, everyone had to pass through a choke point leading from the kitchen into the backyard.
Jordan flexed his electronic music skills from the DJ booth, dancing with a faux gladius made of glow sticks while spinning his newest Hive Humper mix, sending bass rumbling through the house. Beside him was a woman with jet black hair and red lips that popped through the abyss. They were deep in conversation, oblivious to Marcus's arrival. After eavesdropping on their roarous conversation about erratic weather patterns and other signs of Armageddon, Marcus waved his hand between their faces to get his friend's attention.
"What's up, brother?"
Jordan shouted, tucking his long hair behind his ears.
"This is Bonnie. I don't actually know your last name."
"It's Fury," she answered. "What's yours? It isn't really Bee's Nuts, is it?"
Jordan beamed from hearing his DJ name.
"It's Kilravok. Jordan Kilravok."
"Nice to meet you."
Marcus interrupted their ogling by offering Bonnie his hand.
"You too," she replied, taking his hand. "Do you believe in reincarnation?"
Marcus tilted his head. "What?"
"Bonnie was part of the Pharaoh's family in a past life," Jordan shouted. "Her story is eerily similar to Dorothy Eady's." "Who?" Marcus leaned in closer to Jordan. "That lady who fell down the stairs as a kid and could recall details about life in ancient Egypt? We watched a documentary on her. It was around the same time we screened Magical Egypt."
"I don't remember that," Marcus replied. "Have you seen Diana?"
"Not recently, no."
Marcus scanned the room. "Do you need anything?"
"I'm good as gold,"
Jordan replied with a huge smile and even bigger pupils, betraying that he'd blasted off for the night. "Be careful. You don't want to lose another tooth."
"That was a probabilistic fluke,"
Jordan waved dismissively.
"Not everything you consume is a performance enhancer." "Some people claim to walk on water," Jordan screamed over his music, "but no one can navigate black ice. I'll be fine. Stop stalling and go show your girlfriend a good time."
Marcus downed another cup of slushy before heading out the side door to their back porch, an addition they'd made to the century-old house after buying the property. Diana was sitting with a group of mostly men around a propane fire pit. The flame's glow amplified the crimson of her lips and reflected off her deep brown eyes. Strands of straight blonde hair danced around her head, forming a halo in the whirling wind. The group carried on without acknowledging Marcus's arrival. There were no empty seats, so he stood an exile at the edge of their social circle until Diana noticed him.
"Hey, sweetheart."
She stood to hug him.
"Take my seat. I'll sit on your lap."
The alcohol was setting in, and Marcus did as instructed. Diana rewarded him with a kiss on the cheek, then returned to the discussion without introducing him. During the conversation, Marcus learned that the most talkative man was named Colin. Marcus didn't recognize him, but doubted that he came from Jordan's circle of fans, friends, or acquaintances. Colin was slightly chubby and balding, but looked to be in his late 20s and wore thin-framed glasses. Something about his smile was disingenuous, like every word was crafted to gain approval from the rest of the group. There were 3 other men, but none said a word. Each passed the time sucking in cigarettes and nodding at whatever Colin said. Mixed among them was a woman with wild brown hair that spilled past her shoulders. She had an athletic build and a soft olive-toned face. Even seated, she seemed short and appeared to be in her late teens or early 20s. She stared at Marcus for an uncomfortable length of time. Her brown eyes looked familiar, and he had to make a conscious effort not to stare back for fear Diana would catch them gawking. Marcus felt like somebody was watching over him, and gazed toward the southern sky. Out of nowhere, a small blue ball of light appeared. After years of mountain stargazing with his mother, he'd memorized the celestial map. So something was horribly out of place. Marcus struggled to fish his phone from his pocket and opened Google Sky Map, but the app didn't show anything at that position in the heavens. A sense of dread had taken hold, and he was running through a short list of alternative explanations when the ongoing discussion brought his attention back down to earth.
The idea of progress is a westernized myth, Colin declared. We'd be happier and healthier if we all lived a tribal lifestyle.
Marcus laughed at the claim. You mean a primitive one?
See, that's what I mean.
Colin's conversational temperature climbed.
You're assuming our modern lifestyle is superior.
If you're saying I think it's a better way to live, then yes.
Modern humans are a plague on this planet,
Colin scathed. The natural world is a short walk away. Marcus stared Colin in the eyes. Not all individuals are bad, Diana remarked, but it's hard to argue with the fact that modern humans behave like an invasive species by destroying our environment.
Cancer is more like it.
Colin spat his words.
Diana's inner academic wasn't this tolerant when other people corrected her, Marcus thought. Why was Colin getting a pass?
I agree with Marcus. Diana took control again. I wouldn't want to live in the wilderness. I like most of our modern amenities, even if some of them are killing the planet.
You can't outrun the consequences. Just look at the weather. Where's the snow? Colin asked before answering his own question. Utah used to boast that it had the greatest snow on Earth, but this winter is off to a pathetic start. The climate crisis has thrown our entire ecosystem into collapse. Even if we don't destroy our environment, we'll end up killing each other with weapons of mass destruction. The best thing that could happen would be for aliens to show up and wipe every human being off the face of the Earth. Cut the cancer out, once and for all.
Si vis pacem para bellum, Marcus replied.
What?
Colin rasped. It's Latin, the brown-haired young woman interjected. It means if you want peace, then prepare for war.
You're a neoconservative, aren't you?
Colin snickered at Marcus.
No. Then you're a libertarian, right? Someone who believes humans are inherently good and noble? What a fucking joke.
Marcus bit his tongue at the self-hatred baked into Colin's claims, but he wasn't going to spoil his buzz by debating a zealot. The humans equals shit narrative continued for another 20 minutes, taking side quests to discuss the social division resulting from the recent election, the impact of fake news on democracy, and what this all meant for America as it entered the 245th year of its existence. When everyone's solo cup had dried up, the silent smokers headed into the house. The small brown-eyed girl and Colin stayed glued to their seats. Marcus patted the top of Diana's thighs to signal he was ready.
I'm going to head inside too. Are you coming with me?
In a few. Diana smiled but didn't budge.
Show me your friends and I'll tell you what kind of person you are, Marcus mouthed.
Colin grimaced. What's that from? Diana asked.
It's something my mother used to say.
Diana didn't respond. Marcus waved a hand to brush the lingering smoke away from his face.
I don't know how you can stand the smell of cigarettes.
I only like it during the winter. It reminds me of sitting in front of a fireplace. Are you really one to comment? In a few hours, you'll be sucking down stogies with your brother and Jordan.
Probably not, Marcus preempted.
Anthony has to make an appearance at his company party.
So no cigars for us.
Diana held her chin up. Addiction always finds an outlet.
Not tonight, okay?
Only because it's your birthday.
Thanks.
Marcus shifted in his seat. What time is it? Diana asked.
9:30.
I need to leave in a few myself.
How can I help you get out of the house?
You could grab my overnight bag and meet me in the kitchen, she instructed. Get my purse, too. They're both up in your room.
Are you coming back after your shift?
Last night was wonderful, but no.
I'll swing by tomorrow and give you your present.
Diana bit her lip as she climbed off his lap, perpetuating the never-ending foreplay of their first intimate moment. Something Marcus sensed was still far in the future. Marcus struggled to his feet, swaying in place. Need a ride? You're in no condition to be my chauffeur. I'll take the tracks. Remind your thick-headed brother to do the same. His Tesla has autopilot. He'll be fine. Don't make excuses for risky behavior, Marcus.
You're better than that,
Diana said, kissing him deeply. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught Colin peering anxiously at their amorous exchange. Marcus left her in the company of the marginally trustworthy man and the young mystery woman, making his way to the kitchen for more alcoholic ambrosia. A fast-paced trance remix of Vivaldi's Et in Terra Pax echoed up the staircase, now obstructed by wild bacchanals. He found Anthony in the second-story guest bedroom, repeating one of his favorite party tricks by captivating an audience with stories of his adventures. Can I talk to you for a second? The room oohed and awed as if Anthony were in trouble. Give me a second. Marcus walked across the hallway to his bedroom, a space barely large enough for the necessities of college life, a bed and desk. Marcus sat on the edge of his mattress. Anthony had underestimated the time he needed, and Marcus succumbed to impatience, storming from the room with Diana's bags before colliding into him at the threshold. "Where's the fire?" Anthony joked. "There's a party going on downstairs," Marcus fumed, fueled by the booze. "I've been missing it because I'm waiting for you." "For 10 minutes? Time is money!" Marcus hit a familial nerve with his retort. Anthony pushed Marcus back into the room, shutting the door. "You're right. I got caught up in the story. Honest to God, it was simple time dilation. I'm sorry." Marcus set Diana's things on the bed. "Thanks. Why are you letting this get to you? What did Diana do?" "Don't try to put this on her. In the end, all roads lead back to her." "Why don't you like her?" "You really want to know?" "Yes," Marcus replied. "She's a hypocrite, a living, breathing contradiction. She has no moral compass other than what helps her advance her own interests and well-being. I don't understand why you or Jordan can't see that beneath the veneer. She's a terrible human being." "When are you heading out?" Marcus deflected. "Don't pretend like you're cool and collected. I've known you for what now?" Anthony looked at his watch. 18 years? Marcus's mind jumped to their parents. "Tell me what's really going on." "I'm surrounded by happiness, but all I feel is dread," Marcus explained. "Like after one of your bad dreams?" "Exactly." Anthony made a connection that had been evading him all night. This felt like one of his childhood nightmares. Anthony sat on the bed. "What are you so worried about?" "There's nothing I can point to. But I feel that same instability." "You just finished the first semester of your higher education. That's a major life transition." "I don't think that's it." "Then what, society? Things have been bad, but the worst is behind us. This next year will be amazing, I promise." "How could you possibly know that?" Anthony tilted his head. "Because among my many life skills, the one I'm unequivocally the best at is predicting the future." Marcus recognized the truth of his statement. "You can head out now if you want." "Well, fuck you too." "That's not how I meant it. I know you have to go." "I still have time." Anthony smiled. "Ready to rejoin the party?" "I need a moment alone." "Want to go shooting tomorrow? I've got a meeting with Benedict Darrow's people in the morning, but I'll gladly blow them off to play hooky with you." "I'd love that." "Can we go to Global One?" "Whatever you want, Nani!" Anthony shouted an epithet of their Italian grandmother. The brothers embraced, then Anthony headed back to the party. Marcus moved to his bathroom, interrupting a lascivious couple bent on bringing the new year in with a bang. "I need that sink you're using," Marcus said in monotone. The pair grinned sheepishly, clothing themselves as Marcus diverted his eyes. When the room was clear, he stepped up to the mirror and recited his daily affirmation. "I'm the man in the mirror. Better today than I was yesterday. And because today I may die, I'll use this opportunity at life to improve myself and help those around me. I'll stay calm and only focus on things I can control. I will not fear. No matter what I face, I'll face it from a place of peace and love. I'm capable of this. I'm the man in the mirror." Less than 10 miles across town, in a completely different economic stratosphere, Monica entered the kitchen of her mansion at the base of Mount Olympus. As she readjusted her dress and straightened her tossed hair, she spied Benedict's entourage of idiots snickering around the dining room table. Chet, Thad, and Toby heard everything. Benedict was hot on her heels, fastening his belt and lecturing about fiscal discipline. But the familiar admonition went in one ear and out the other. "Got it," Monica dismissed. "But it's New Year's. Let's keep the celebration going. What are our plans? Should we all go dancing?" "Our plans?" Hannah laughed from the other side of the granite countertop. "Your limited role in the evening is done." "Where's Lucius?" Monica asked the boy's mother. "You think I'd expose him to the smut show the two of you just put on? He's in the game room." "It'd be a better life lesson than what he's learning at your house," Monica fired back with flames behind her eyes. Lucius was at that pivotal age between a toddler and a child, but he clung to his mother's side most of the time. Monica loved the boy like he was her own blood, something Hannah never missed an opportunity to point out wasn't the case. "We've got a plane to catch," Benedict explained, standing next to Hannah while sorting through a stack of mail. It was the first time Monica had heard about their travel plans, but it was common for him to drop last-minute changes.
Your jet leaves when you tell it to. Where are you going? Hannah answered for her older brother. London, Rome, Cairo, and then South Africa, where we'll visit Cape Town and Joburg. Wow, Monica huffed. I don't know if I'd be brave enough to go back there after everything you went through. Hannah was the master of her emotions, pausing before answering. And that's why you won't be joining us. We'll be gone for a few weeks, Benedict said, setting down the mail. Don't wait up. If you need anything, call my office. The house was silent once Benedict and crew left, despite being surrounded by all the material distractions her heart desired. Moments like this exposed the emptiness of her existence. She planned to cope with it like she always did, retiring to her library to drink whiskey and read romance novels. Marcus finished his affirmation when the screaming started downstairs. The music stopped, sending the distraught man's cries reverberating across the house. He continued to howl like a hyena as Marcus shoved his way past people on the staircase. The crowd had spread out to form a ring around Anthony, who had Colin in a headlock. Jordan was standing on the far side of the circle, holding hands with Bonnie while both giggled hysterically. Are you going to settle down? Anthony asked Colin. The man pulled at Anthony's arm. Yes! What's going on? Marcus boomed from the stairs. This idiot got aggressive with some of the guests, Anthony answered. When I asked him to stop, he swung at me. Let him go, Diana demanded from the edge of the crowd. Anthony looked at Marcus, who looked at Diana before signaling him to release his grip. Colin moved away, puffing out his chest while rubbing his neck. The guests waited to see what would happen next, but pounding on the front door refocused their collective attention. Is anyone still outside? Anthony asked. No, Diana affirmed. The battering continued unabated. Anthony approached the large pane glass window facing the street and peered under a cardboard panel. It's the cops. Fuck! Yes! Jordan's laughter cut through the silence. I'll deal with this. You? Anthony pointed at Jordan. Get the music going. Everyone else stay inside and act like this is still a party. Under no circumstances is anyone to open a door. Marcus peered through the window as Anthony crossed the choke point. Alternating blue and red lights illuminated the dark suburban street. Jordan restarted the music, but no one was dancing. Marcus held his breath as he watched Anthony confidently approach a group of men in black suits and sunglasses standing on the lawn. He handed one of them a piece of paper before fishing a small device from his pocket and pointing it at the house. They talked for 20 minutes, but it seemed like a century. Then the men in black climbed into their Land Cruisers and left. Marcus finally exhaled, but Anthony remained unmoved, fixated on something in the sky. What the fuck was that? Marcus shouted over the music as his brother re-entered the house. All eyes were on him. Jordan cut the music. Someone called in a noise complaint, Anthony explained. Because of the screaming? Marcus asked. Doubtful. Anthony glared at Colin. Their response time isn't that good. Definitely not tonight. I don't think those guys were cops, given the way they were dressed and talked. Diana jumped in. What'd you say to make them go away? I flashed the permit I filed with the health department for the party, then took some sound measurements to prove we're below the 110 decibel limit. They asked who was in the house. I said it was a group of executives from my company and promised that we're all practicing social distancing. That's not a total lie, Jordan shouted through a gas mask he'd hastily placed over his face. Anthony let out half a laugh. Then I wished them well. Jordan started the music again, and most of the neon revelers returned to drinking and dancing. Marcus's heart was beating faster than Jordan's baseline as waves of inebriation crashed over him. Anthony closed the distance, whispering directly into his ear. I have something to show you outside. It's important. I'll grab Jordan and we'll meet you in the backyard in 2 minutes. Marcus walked past Diana, who'd gone into counselor mode to comfort Colin. The winter air burned his lungs as he stood on the asphalt between the porch and the old single-car garage at the end of their driveway. That was close, Jordan said, with wide eyes and a wider smile, the gas mask resting on his head. Anthony smirked. I always have a contingency plan. Those dudes looked like extras from the Blues Brothers movie with their suits and sunglasses. But I also noticed a Dugway pass on one of their vehicles. Dugway? Marcus asked. It's that super-secret military base in the western desert, Jordan explained. Just beyond the Ochre Mountains. Right, Anthony added. Not far from my house. What did you want to show us? Marcus asked. Look at the southern sky, Anthony clarified.
What in the actual fuck?
Jordan's jaw hung open. A blue sphere smaller than the moon but larger than any of the stars hovered between Canis Majoris and Mars. It looks bigger than it did a few minutes ago, Anthony said. If I'm right, then it's coming at us. I saw it earlier when I was with Diana. It's definitely gotten bigger, Marcus added. Much, much bigger. What do you think it is? Jordan was laughing as he pulled the gas mask off his head.
Maybe Neowise made a U-turn?
That doesn't look like a comet to me, Anthony offered. The trio continued to stare at the unidentified object.
God, I've always wanted to see a UFO,
Jordan exclaimed.
It looks more like
Marcus squinted.
a planet.
Anthony faced his brother. Why do you say that?
It's not flickering like a star, and it's too big to be a plane or a satellite.
The Thunderbolts project was right!
Jordan raised his arms.
Nibiru has returned!
Am I that drunk? Marcus asked. Because I think he might be right. Unless Jordan went guy incognito on us again and spiked the slushy with psychedelics.
Don't look at me! Jordan held up both hands. How has no one else noticed this? Anthony asked. Marcus shook his head. No one looks at the sky anymore.
That's an incredibly sad but true statement.
The birthday boys stared at the object until each was shivering. Without any way to confirm their theories, they headed inside to see if the Coast to Coast AM website had an answer.